So I'm here with Portos today and I'm going to do a little bit of an update about what he's been doing lately. And it's been a bit of a crazy couple of months because I've been so busy bringing my jumpers back into work. So their work has been a little bit sporadic, but he's easy as, he's so cruisy, he's really good to catch, he's been fantastic to introduce new things to. And today I'm going to go through a little bit of what he's doing in terms of his body control and a bit of obstacle work and show you how I'm preparing him to cover. And the plan had been to film a lot of this stuff, but because we just haven't had the time, unfortunately we haven't been able to do that. But hopefully with Trojan I'm able to show you some of the steps that is basically the same training platform or method that I use with Portos. So I'm also going to start preparing him to back, so I will also be going through the backing stages shortly. But for now I'm just going to go through and just show you sort of what he's doing. And Trojan's just chilling in the background, so I often work them together, it's just easy. So he's super light, good boy. He's super light off that. Which is your turn on your forehand. Good boy. Good man. There, I just want to be able to control the front end like so. And all of this has been covered also in my training sessions with Romeo. Oh, Trojan's in the way. So when I'm working with obstacles, I always like them to be able to go up to it and sniff it and acknowledge it and take as much time as they need. So if he's just got his head up and he's looking off in the distance, he's not afraid of the obstacle in front of him. But if he's genuinely taking the time to drop his head, investigate it and sort of make sure it's okay, I will let them have as long as they need. So if it takes 2 minutes, that's great. If it takes 10 minutes, I'm happy to wait. So there he's just sniffing it, he's going through it. When he lifts his head or softens his expression, I know that he's ready to be asked over it. I could ask him over it now, but because he's genuinely wanting to check it out, and you can see there he's had the nice lick lip, good boy, I wouldn't want him to go over it because he's going to go into a slight freeze response as he comes in because he's genuinely scared of it, and he'll be going over it because of the pressure I'm putting on him, not because he's genuinely comfortable with it. So now that he's raised his head, I'm going to put my hand up and gesture him to hop over. Good man. And then a super cool thing I've been doing lately is I've been getting him ready to cover, and before I did that I wanted him to investigate the cover. So same thing here, he's already done this, but good boy. So he wants to investigate it, and it's, of course it's blowing in the wind, so it's more scary than usual. Good boy. And I like using an old cover because it smells of horses. So it's a really good way to get them to investigate it rather than a tarpaulin or something which is very foreign. So he will spend ages just sniffing it, and then because he's been able to go over it in his own time, he's very relaxed about it. And then I'll show you how I incorporate that then when I put the cover on shortly. So he needs to take his time there, and that's fine. Because his body expression is quite relaxed, and you can tell that he's sniffing more because of the strange smells on the cover and less because he's scared, I'm going to see if I can get him to step forward. Good boy. And I want to get to the stage where they want to paw it and bite it and move it with their muzzle, because if I don't let him get to that really comfortable stage and I just put the cover on him, again he's going to go into the freeze state, and that's all fine as long as everything goes to plan. But if he gets a fright at some stage and he takes off and the cover flaps on his side, or let's say it's half slips off, then you've got a problem. So I want to give them enough foundations that if the cover half slips off, I want them to be able to just turn around and be like, oh yeah, it's just the cover. So now I'm going to see if I can go over it. Good boy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the cover on him. And this is another cool thing actually, is when you drag the obstacle away from them. So that sparks their curiosity a lot. So rather than forcing the animal to what they're afraid of, take it away from them and have them follow. So he's been covered twice. We always start with a polar fleece cover because it doesn't have as much rustling, it's not as heavy. And then I'd put a winter cover on him once, and I'm going to go back through that stage of showing you how I prepare them to be covered. First of all, I'm just going to do up the back cover straps just so they don't clang against his legs. Good boy. And before I started with the polar fleece cover, I started with a towel, and then I started, before that I even started just with my jumper. So I wouldn't just chuck a cover straight on. I know you can and you can get away with it, but for a wild horse you've got one chance to do it properly, and I would prefer to just take my time. Now with the cover I don't do any of the straps up, and I'll show you why in a second. And this is not something I've always done, but I like doing it this way, and you'll see why. So my goal is actually for the cover to slip off the back of him, and I will show you why. It's because let's say you're in the paddock and they've rolled out and the back legs come out of a strap. So now it's twisted and it's kind of half dragging on them as it happens. What I don't want him is to turn around, see something dragging in his blind spot and then bolt and panic. I want him to always turn back around to what he's afraid of. So I'm going to lunge him out on this left rein. And this is just having done this once, and we'll see what he does. So I want to put him into a trot. Good boy. So you can see it starting to shift over his bum. Shifting. There we go. So the first thing he does is he turns around. And the reason he turns around is because the first time I did this, which I would have done for 15 minutes, every time the cover blew off the back, I would turn him around and direct him back over the cover. So he now walks back over it. Good. I'll do it once more. And this is all done with the goal that if that cover ever slips in the paddock, he just turns around. And the same where if a rider half slips off his back, he stops and he turns around rather than taking off and panicking. So there, he's just misread me. Oh. And there, good boy. I'm going to walk him over it. Good boy. I don't mind that he wants to paw it like that. In fact, I love that he wants to do that because it shows he's really comfortable with it. Good boy. So because he got a little bit confused before when I was trying to change direction, so there, I'm just going to tidy that up. And then this way, so he's getting a little bit stuck. Good boy. And he's a little bit more sensitive than normal because that wind is so strong. So there you can see him panicking slightly because the cover is starting to fly, which is why I want to do this sort of thing. Good job. And you can see he gets a little bit nervous when it came down over his back legs, but because his first instinct is to quickly turn around and investigate what happened or what he's run away from, he quickly figures out there was nothing to be afraid of. So when I'm training my horses, it's very, very important that they always face what they're afraid of. So whether I'm riding past bailage bales or something scary, I don't ever want to let them get that scary thing in their blind spot and then take off. I want them to turn as quick as they can, face it, because most of the time what they're afraid of actually isn't going to hurt them, and they actually end up hurting themselves because they've tried to run from what they're afraid of. So because he's done a really good job there, I'm going to let him investigate. I'm going to ask him to walk over. And this prepares him really well for the tarpaulin. Good boy. So I'm going to finish him on that, and this is just what a normal session looks like for me. I just kind of work on and build on those foundations. He's still quite green in his body work, and obviously with the cover, this has been his third time he's had it on, so I've no expectations. I know I could put the cover on the first day and probably do up the straps and he'd be fine, but I want to prepare him for something to go wrong. And you can see when that wind lifts up and flaps the cover off him, that little moment of panic, and he starts to go into that flight response. And if he's out in the paddock on a windy day and the cover comes up and flaps down and he takes off, then we could have an issue. And then of course if the cover half fell off. So I'm trying to set him up so that when things go wrong, he doesn't care at all. And if it takes me 2 or 3 days, that's fine because I've got that time. So I'm super happy with his body language. He's a little bit nervous today because of the wind, but he's just so relaxed. I don't know what he's doing there. What are you doing?